whisper, a breathy moan, a bass line that rattles in your chest. The sound is an intimate invasion, a secret shared between a girl and her microphone. She isn't a powerhouse vocalist, belting out stadium anthems. She is something else entirely, a storyteller, a ghost in the machine. A young woman with electric green roots and a defiant gaze, singing about monsters under the bed and the crushing weight of a world she never asked to join. This is not the typical rise of a pop star. This is the origin story of an icon who redefined what a pop star could be. A quiet riot who used her whispers to scream for a generation. This is the story of Billie Eilish, born Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell on a cold December day in Los Angeles. She was a child of a different kind of Hollywood royalty. Her parents, Maggie Baird and Patrick O'Connell, were not movie stars or moguls, but struggling actors and musicians who built a life on the fringes of the industry. Their home was a creative crucible, a place where art was not just a hobby, but the air they breathed. They were homeschooled, she and her older brother Finneas, their education a patchwork of dance classes, choir practice, and a seemingly endless supply of musical instruments. "We kind of had a rule in the house," her mother once recalled, "that no one would ever make you go to sleep if you were playing music. Music trumped everything." This unorthodox upbringing forged a bond between the siblings that would become the very foundation of Billie's career. They were collaborators from the start, a two-person creative engine fueled by shared dreams and a quiet, unassuming genius. The journey began with a dance. In 2015, at just 13 years old, Billie was asked by her dance teacher to create a song for a choreography routine. She turned to Finneas, who had already written a ballad called Ocean Eyes for his own band. They recorded it in his bedroom, a space crammed with tangled wires and cheap microphones. The song was a fragile, ethereal thing, a siren's call floating over a minimalist beat. They uploaded it to SoundCloud, a digital whisper into the void. It was a moment that should have been swallowed by the internet's endless churn, but something extraordinary happened. The song went viral, its haunting beauty capturing the attention of millions. Suddenly, a little girl from Los Angeles was an internet sensation. The music industry, always hungry for the next big thing, came knocking. But they weren't prepared for what they found. The Billie Eilish they met was not a manufactured pop product. She was a hurricane of contradictions. A sweet-faced girl with a deep-seated love for horror films, a singer with a vocal style that was more ASMR than Mariah Carey. She dressed in impossibly baggy, oversized clothes, a deliberate rejection of the hypersexualized image so often forced upon young female artists. In her own words, it was a defense mechanism against the constant scrutiny. She was a paradox, a walking, breathing anachronism in an industry built on polish and perfection. Her debut EP, Don't Smile at Me, was a raw, unfiltered expression of teenage angst and self-doubt. Tracks like I Don't Want to Be You Anymore resonated with a generation tired of pretending everything was okay, a generation grappling with mental health in a way their parents never could. This wasn't just music. It was a conversation, a shared secret between Billie and her listeners. As her fame exploded, so did the scrutiny. Her every move, every outfit, every utterance was dissected by the public. Her romantic life, in particular, became a source of intense fascination and controversy. In her documentary, The World's a Little Blurry, the world was given a rare, intimate look at a young woman navigating a relationship with a rapper she called Q. The footage showed the quiet pain of a love story unfolding under the immense pressure of fame, a relationship that ultimately unraveled. She would later reflect on the experience, saying she regrets making any part of her relationships public. The intense gaze of the media only intensified with her next high-profile romance with Jesse Rutherford, a singer over a decade her senior. The age gap sparked a fierce public debate, with some accusing the relationship of being a form of grooming. The controversy highlighted the new and merciless ways in which social media scrutinizes and judges celebrity relationships, often with a cruelty that belies the youth of the people involved. The peak of her career, for many, was her debut album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? It was a sonic masterpiece, a dark carnival of sound that blended pop, rap, and electronic music into something entirely new. Songs like Bad Guy became cultural touchstones, inescapable earworms that showcased her signature blend of whispers and hypnotic hooks. The album was a commercial and critical juggernaut, culminating in a historic sweep at the 2020 Grammy Awards, where she became the first woman and the youngest artist ever to win all 4 major categories: Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist. It was an unprecedented moment of triumph, a coronation for the homeschooled teenager who had dared to be different. Music critic Robert Christgau, a man known for his sharp-tongued critiques, once conceded that she was musically and commercially pop, a rare seal of approval from an old-school gatekeeper. But behind the awards and the sold-out stadiums, there was a different kind of war being waged. The documentary offered a window into her private world, a place of constant anxiety, physical pain from old dance injuries, and a relentless feeling of being out of control. She revealed her struggles with Tourette's syndrome, a disorder that caused involuntary tics, and her history of self-harm. She was, in her own words, not okay. The pressure to maintain a perfect public image while privately battling deep inner demons was immense. She was a symbol of a generation's anxieties, a voice for the voiceless, but she was also just a young woman, a teenager, trying to find her footing in a world that had suddenly become very big and very loud. As she matured, her music began to reflect a new kind of self-awareness. Her second album, Happier Than Ever, was a confessional, a searing exploration of the darker side of fame. The title track, a slow-burn epic, was a venomous takedown of an ex-lover, a quiet rage that built to a cathartic, screaming crescendo. It was a moment of release, a public reckoning with the pain she had been holding inside. This was not the same girl who had whispered about monsters. This was a woman who had faced her demons and was ready to fight back. Her music had evolved, and so had she, trading her baggy clothes for a more feminine, classic look. A deliberate choice that, of course, sparked a new round of debate and criticism. She was damned if she did, and damned if she didn't. Billie Eilish's story is still being written, but her legacy is already secure. She is not just a musician. She is a cultural phenomenon, a bellwether for a new generation of artists. She proved that you don't need a polished image or a powerhouse voice to be a superstar. You just need to be authentic, to be honest, and to be brave enough to share your darkest secrets with the world. She, alongside her brother, redefined the production process, showing that a platinum-selling album could be created in a bedroom, not a million-dollar studio. Her impact on fashion, on conversations about mental health, and on the very fabric of modern pop music is undeniable. She is the voice of a generation that grew up on the internet, a generation that finds solace in the quiet intimacy of a whispered lyric and strength in the shared vulnerability of a raw, honest moment. In the end, perhaps the most powerful image of Billie Eilish isn't the one of her on a Grammy stage, holding her arms full of gold, or the one of her in a high-fashion gown. It is the image of a young girl, just a teenager, sitting in her brother's bedroom, with a cheap microphone in her hand, singing a sad song to the world. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated creation, a fragile beginning that would somehow, against all odds, change everything. It's the moment before the noise, before the fame, before the world came calling. And in that quiet moment, a star was born, not with a bang, but with a breathtaking, beautiful whisper,